Here's the great news. I mean, we really are winning. I mean, it's just getting,
absolutely.
It's getting overwhelmingly obvious that we're winning. And so we're about to enter that really steep part of the slope of the curve, which is why it's extremely hard to predict where we're going. I mean, whether it's 200 or a million. I mean, it's somewhere in that range.
Right.
But we're going higher. I mean, a lot higher. So, and I'm here for it.
Bitcoin's value is poised to skyrocket, potentially reaching anywhere between $200,000 and $1 million, and that might not even be the peak. That's the latest prediction from Larry Lepard, founder and managing partner of Equity Management Associate. Bitcoin is becoming impossible to ignore, with governments, major investors, and financial institutions paying close attention. Unlike other cryptocurrencies, it has cemented itself as the dominant digital asset, proving its resilience through market cycles and growing institutional adoption. While Bitcoin's price remains unpredictable, the trend is clear. Lepard believes the $200,000 to $1 million range could go even higher. Regardless of the exact figure, the momentum is undeniable. Bitcoin is disrupting the financial system and offering a real alternative to traditional currencies. As adoption accelerates, so does Bitcoin's influence. This transformation is happening fast. Stick around until the end of the video as Larry Lepard reveals market secrets and explains why Bitcoin is set to come out on top. Have you ever wondered who the crypto advisor must be for the biggest names in the online business space, such as Aman Godzi, Andrew Tate, and Luke Belmar? Well, there's one crypto investor who was the consultant for all of them, and he actually shares the systems he gave these influencers to make them millions on his YouTube channel for free, growing an 8 million portfolio by the age of 25. Daniel McAvoy is one of the best crypto investors you'll find online, specializing in long-term investments and meme coin investing. His YouTube channel is packed with incredibly valuable videos that will help you make life-changing wealth from crypto. Start watching one of the greats today, link in the description of this video.
Bitcoin could go to, $1 million a coin, 10x from here, and it'd still only be 2% of the world's assets. And it's a great question. I've been encountering a lot. Well, yeah, I get it. You may be right, but gosh, I got to pay $100,000 for what you bought for 20.
Yeah, unit count bias. Yeah.
Yeah. See, so you get price bias, and I say, no. You're looking at it from the wrong model. You're looking at it from a, trees don't grow to the sky investing model. What you got to look at it from is kind of more of a replacement cost model that fiat's going to fail and Bitcoin's going to replace it. And if that's the case, with fiat, you're in a burning fire or you're in a burning theater and you got smoke coming up. And so what's the price? What's the value of the price of getting through that door or the exit so you don't get burned? It's unlimited in fiat terms. So in my view, that's kind of where we're going. And, 5 or 10 years from now, it'll be at $1 million or, even quicker than that. And, everyone will be saying, well, God, I wish I'd bought it at 100,000. So you've got to kind of flip the thing. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in Bitcoin who doesn't feel like they paid too much when they bought it. They hated the fact that it was where it was when they bought it. But, what I always say is just wait 5 years and, you'll feel like you're a genius. Hey, I bought some at the peak pre the SBF crash. I bought some at 65. And when it went to 15, I wasn't feeling great about it, but I knew I wasn't wrong. And now it's at 104 and, someday it'll be 204. So if I paid 65 for that, so what? You know what I mean? So you just have to get into it wherever it is at any given point in time, and then you have to let it compound. I mean, it's going to compound, consistently and patiently for years and years, and that's really your friend. I mean, it's time in the market that creates great returns. You can't really time the market per se. So, it's a hard one to get your head around, though. I mean, I will say that's the biggest objection I've encountered recently. Prior to that, the biggest objection was, well, the government's going to ban this. It's a nice libertarian fantasy, but it's never going to happen. Well, then the ETF got approved. And so they kind of had to throw that one out. So, but yeah, the price is a problem. And you say, well, it's too expensive, I can't buy it. I mean, I think some other people who aren't, if you're not terribly sophisticated, some people make the, well, I can't afford 100,000. Well, of course not. But you can buy, a tenth of a coin or 1/100th of a coin. I mean, you can put $100 into Bitcoin. You can put any number into Bitcoin. It's divisible to 100 million Satoshis. So that's not really a stopper. Look, obviously it's great that Trump won because he's so much more crypto friendly. And yet, there's some things about what happened soon after he won or right before he won, or right before before he was inaugurated, that, launching his own meme coins, Trump coin and Melania coin. I was very disappointed to see that. I think that fit with the spirit of Bitcoin. I mean, as you know, I'm a maximalist. I think most of the crypto projects are worthless or promotes. The SOB 21 thing is really great because now the bank can obviously custody and lend against and deal in Bitcoin. I found it pretty funny that Jamie Dimon was on Leslie Stahl a couple of weeks ago in 60 Minutes and took his obligatory swipes at Bitcoin and how it was used by criminals and so on and so forth. And of course, never mentioning that he was Epstein's banker. But and then 2 or 3 days after the SOB 21 ruling, where the banks are now able to custody it. I mean, there was an advertisement at JP Morgan saying, we will now be, providing Bitcoin custody and Bitcoin custody services. I mean, and so, watch what they say, watch what they do, not what they say. I mean, it's like Larry Fink. I mean, once you realize Bitcoin's inevitable, then you start figuring out, okay, well, given that, I probably ought to figure out how to best make money on it. And so I think, to JP Morgan's credit, they're smart and they realize there will be a business there. And so they're thinking, all right, we're announcing we're in that business. Even though Jamie may not like it, their business for the shareholders is to make money. So, but to me, SOB 21 was a very, very big deal. I mean, it allows the banks to custody the coins. It will allow loans against the coins. I mean, it drags the coins into the normie TradFi financial system where they really hadn't been up until this time. And I mean, for those of us who have coins that we bought at a lot lower prices, I mean, instead of selling a coin, you might just say, well, I'll borrow against it. I mean, certainly it could. I mean, certainly it will. Yeah, I think it could and it will. Historically, the coin lending services have been relatively expensive. I've looked at it, and I think they're in the kind of 11 to 15% range. Range, which
that's what I see.
Isn't that particularly attractive to me? But I mean, if somebody were to come to me and say, well, we'll lend you at the Fed funds rate of 4.5% or something. Okay, that's a little different. Maybe I would take a loan out against some of my coins. But it's we'll just have to see how it develops. But I think that we can now assume that Wall Street and the major financial institutions are now in the game. Just like other nation states are now in the game. We now know that Saudi Arabia and Oman and UAE are all accumulating coins. We heard that through Paul Manafort and Matthew Pines at the Bitcoin Policy Institute. Basically passed that information along to me at a party. And so, I think there's just a lot of stuff going on. I mean, Saylor calls it, we're now kind of in that golden age, gold rush part of Bitcoin development. And I really think we are. I mean, I think the ETF was huge, absolutely huge. And SOB 21 was another piece of it. And it's just, and now, and the BlackRock flipping, that was huge too. I mean, Larry Fink hated it, looked at it, analyzed it, said, you know what, I either got to get on board with this or I'm going to get crushed. And so now he figured out how to make money on it launched an ETF, and it's the largest ETF, best performing ETF ever in terms of growth and size. So there's just a lot of stuff lining up, Brandon, that leads me to believe that, we're going to, it's very possible we're going to break the power law model on the upside here in this cycle. I mean, I think this cycle hits 200 very easily. I think, that's kind of a done deal. And then, it could, with some of these other things kicking in, it could go a lot farther. We just don't know. I mean, Samson thinks it goes to 1 million. I don't know. It's possible. I mean, Dr. Jeff thinks it goes to 500,000, 700,000. I mean, anything's possible. As we all know with this asset, it trades like a wild animal now. It could also go to those numbers and then have a decent sized correction too, which it's also done in the past. So keep that in mind. I'm not sure I want to be buying it at 750, but I think we're in a situation where a lot of things are lined up in a favorable manner for Bitcoin. I mean, related to all this, and this is talked about in the book, is just, the government financial situation is just becoming extremely dire. I mean, we're up against the debt ceiling. The reverse repo fund has been run down. I mean, Biden and Yellen left, Trump with a can of shit. I mean, they're really, and so and Trump has already called for lower interest rates. I know the Fed's going to push back on that, but when push comes to shove, will they be able to? If they don't push, if they don't cut rates, I think there's a decent chance we'll have some kind of a nasty event that will then force them to cut rates. And the bottom line is, you and I have discussed so many times, is that the system is structured to require inflation, and if they do not get inflation, the system's going to die. So, So, they're going to get inflation. And how does one protect oneself against inflation? Well, you own things they can't inflate. And the two choices are Bitcoin and gold, and Bitcoin's superior to gold. But gold's not a terrible choice. It's just a less good choice.
Meanwhile, Utah's Bitcoin reserve bill has moved forward, advancing to its second and third Senate readings after clearing a key committee vote. If approved, it will head to Governor Spencer Cox, where final approval appears likely. The bill sets strict requirements for digital assets, mandating an average market cap of $500 billion over the past year, a threshold only Bitcoin currently meet. It has garnered strong Republican support, with 4 GOP senators voting in favor, while 1 Republican and 1 Democrat opposed it, and another senator was absent. If passed, up to 5% of state funds could be allocated to digital asset. Now, let's dive back into more groundbreaking insights from Larry Lepard.
The problem with Trump coin is he's just selling you a dream. I've heard that they sold some and took some money out of the thing. And, as you and I both know, that's a fake dream. I mean, it's not going to pay off for you. It's going to be a shit coin. It's going to go to zero. So that's just very disappointing, very disappointing. But, look, with politicians, as in many things in life, you take the good with the bad. I mean, there's no doubt that the red team is a whole lot better for crypto than the blue team, and Bitcoin, I should say. I shouldn't even use the word crypto because I really don't like that word. So
beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, right? Like a year ago, it's a whole different story we're talking.
That's
and it's
right.
Like we're getting,
who would have thought? So, isn't it stunning that we went to the conference this summer and we saw 2 major presidential candidates, Trump and RFK, until he joined forces with them, give enormous good speeches, especially RFK's. RFK's speech was just outstanding. People should Google and listen to that on, the role of Bitcoin, in the economy. I mean, it's so positive that we've got people at that level thinking this through, and Scott Bessent, the new Treasury Secretary. I mean, how different is he than Janet Yellen, right? I mean, Yellen hates gold. Yellen was a total Keynesian. I mean, she's just the worst. And, Bessent loves gold. Bessent understands sound money. Bessent understands financial history. Bessent understands. I mean, he said gold was his largest holding, and he's Bitcoin positive. So, and he's also said that, hey, we may need something a la Bretton Woods where we do some kind of a reset. And if we do, I want to be at the table. Well, what that all tells me in code is that, we're kind of setting up for some stuff that's going to be extremely positive for sound money assets, Bitcoin and gold, extremely positive. So I'm quite encouraged by, on balance, I'm quite encouraged by everything I see out of the administration. Here's the great news. I mean, we really are winning. I mean, it's just getting,
absolutely.
It's getting overwhelmingly obvious that we're winning. And so we're about to enter that really steep part of the slope of the curve, which is why it's extremely hard to predict where we're going. I mean, whether it's 200 or a million. I mean, it's somewhere in that range. Right. But we're going higher. I mean, a lot higher. So, and I'm here for it. I mean, it works for me. I mean, but I'm also here because, it's not just number go up. I mean, I'm here for Bitcoin defunding the governments and, maybe, ending the wars and so much other bad stuff that these large sclerotic governments have done. And they've done just so much bad stuff. And, it's so refreshing to see the younger generation understand that and recognize that this is the solution, that Bitcoin is the solution to these problems. Bitcoin is going to continue to massively outperform gold, and Bitcoin is going to eventually demonetize gold. But I say eventually cautiously, because it doesn't happen overnight. And so, in this inflationary cycle, I have every confidence gold will get to 5,000, 10,000, maybe 15,000. But while it's doing that, I mean, 5,000 would be, almost a double from today. Well, we're 2,800, but a little less than double from today. Bitcoin's going to go from 100,000 to a million, and from a million to 2 million. So, which is going to outperform Bitcoin by a huge measure. But gold isn't going to go away because there's 6 or 8 billion people on the planet. A lot of them think gold is sound money, and the money, the base money, the fiat currencies are all failing. So they're both going to go up a lot. But Bitcoin's going to continue to demonetize gold. It's going to demonetize real estate. I mean, there's so much monetary premium in things where it really shouldn't be there. I mean, real estate, it's a place to live. It's nice. I mean, the nice thing is it can't print any more of it, but it only has, it ought to be valued on its utility, not because it's a store of value, because there are much better stores of value, Bitcoin being one of them. So, Yeah, that's how you get to just numbers that are much higher than what we're looking at today. As these other things become demonetized.
Unlike gimmicks like Trump coin, Bitcoin isn't a short-term play or an empty promise, it's a real asset with a proven track record. Even in politics, Bitcoin is making its mark. Both Trump and RFK have acknowledged its significance, and their speeches at major conferences confirm that Bitcoin is no longer a fringe concept. The signs are everywhere. Bitcoin is becoming deeply embedded in the economy, and the momentum is unstoppable. The future isn't about hype or empty promises anymore. It's about a financial system where Bitcoin takes center stage. And that future is approaching fast. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.